Yesterday we talked about Shmuel telling Shaul, chapter 10, page 26, of what's going to happen to him on the day that he leaves. And it doesn't say really in the story why, but we presume it's in order to impress Shaul how accurate Shmuel's knowledge of God's will is in the future. He knows all these amazing things. And therefore, when I tell you that God wants you to be king, you can be rest assured I'm not making a mistake. I know 100% what I'm talking about. Okay. Yes, like I said yesterday, we don't doubt the words of a prophet, but if someone comes along and gives you extra extra encouragement, that's great. It makes you feel better. I don't have to rely on my faith when I can actually see it there. Right? It's easier to sleep at night. Okay? Alright. So he told him a whole list of things that were going to happen to him, and the last one we mentioned was that when you come to the mountain of God, or the hill of God, as it's called, which may be Beisail, might be, because some of them were on the way there, then you will meet a group of prophets. That's what we said yesterday. So now on Pasuk Vav. V'tzalcha alecha, you got it? Chapter 10, Pasuk Vav. V'tzalcha alecha ruach Hashem. Okay? Now, it's obvious from the context what this means, thank you very much, although I don't know exactly how to translate it. It means the Spirit of God will rest upon you. Solcha. I don't know how to. I don't know any other word related to that, or how we would use it in other contexts. But
it says grip you first of all.
Grip you.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think we don't use it. When I grip you like that, we don't use the same word. So it's obviously a word only used in the context, as far as I know, of prophecy, and therefore it's not so helpful. But yes, it means, that the Spirit of God will grab hold of you. Okay. V'hisna bisa imam, and you will prophesy with them. I mean, there's a group of prophets coming down the hill with the orchestra playing music in front of them, which is clear from the story that's part of their how you get prophecy or whatever. Okay, and you're in a good mood, a happy mood, and elevated mood, and the music is very uplifting and spiritual. You see in the temple, you used to have a whole orchestra and a choir, and it's obviously it's a spiritually associated activity. And then you will also become a prophet, or you will prophesy with them. Whatever they're doing, you're going to join the group. Hisna bisa imam, you will prophesy with them. And you will be changed. Hafuch means the opposite. It means to be turned into leish acher, another man. I mean, you become a completely different person. Even though Shaul was a very, very special, shichba mala, head and shoulders taller than anybody else, both physically and spiritually. But he's going to become a completely new being after this prophecy takes over him. V'haya, and it shall be ki tavona, when they will come. Bo, to come, tavona is in the feminine future, third person. When they, why it's in feminine? Because it's talking about the events. When these events or these signs will come, that's a feminine word, ot. Ot is a sign, like your tefillin is an ot. So when these signs, otot, when these signs will come, ha'ele, when these signs will come, lach, to you, when all these things happen to you, so now you'll know you're ready to do what you have to do. This will be the sign from God that what I predicted, that you are to be the future king. These are signs that I'm telling the truth. Asay lecha,
make yourself.
Make for yourself. Okay? Asay lecha, make for yourself, asher timsa yadecha, that which your hand finds. Now, I suppose that means whatever you situation you happen to get yourself into, don't worry about doing it, you'll be successful. Up till now, should you do this? Should I invest in here? Should I learn this? And I had my doubts whether I'm going to be successful. Sometimes that puts you off because you're a bit discouraged. But now, after this whole process, God's Spirit will be so much part of you that you'll be successful whatever you do. So he's saying, whatever you find comes to you, do it. Someone gives you an offer to invest in real estate, do it. Someone says, you want to learn Chavrusa with me? Do it, because you'll be successful at it. Ki Elohim imach, because God is with you. So from now on, you'll know that whatever you do, God will be with you. And therefore, okay. Now we come to an instruction which you have to be patient, because it's going to take us a few chapters until we get to the fulfillment of the next instruction. But you've got to remember in your mind that Shmuel has given Shaul very strict instructions about the next thing he must do. After he invests and does and whatever he's going to do, he's going to be successful, right? The next thing is what? Ve'yaradata lefanai hagilgal. You shall go down. Yarad, to go down. Yaradata, you will go down. Ve'yarada, and you will go. Lefanai, in front of me. In front of me means before I go. You will go down, I'll come afterwards. In front of me doesn't mean I'm right behind you. It means I will follow a day or 2 days later. Ve'yaradata lefanai hagilgal. You shall go before me to Gilgal. Gilgal was the name of a place which was very famous in Tanach. It's a place where the Jews crossed over the Jordan, which split miraculously for them when they were on the eastern side. After Moshe died, okay, at the end of the 40-year journey during the desert, the Jews miraculously crossed over the Jordan River with the ark. The priests were holding the ark, and they put their feet into the water, and then it suddenly stopped, and a wall of water built up on one side, and the rest of the water flowed down into the Dead Sea. It wasn't like the Red Sea that split into two, because the Red Sea is the ocean. It's just a river. Okay, you'll read all about it in the book of Yeshua, how the river split, and then all the people crossed over. So just that point on the other side of the river was called Gilgal, and there was a mass circumcision. All the Jews who had traveled through the desert in 40 years who hadn't circumcised.
They weren't circumcised in the desert?
Correct. The Jews didn't circumcise in the desert for whatever reason. Yeah, possibly because it was dangerous to circumcise in the desert because they were on a journey.
Or maybe they didn't know when they would move. They never knew.
Well, that's the same reason. That's because of that it was dangerous.
What about Nefesh?
No, it's fair.
We don't do Mesiras Nefesh for mitzvahs. We only do Mesiras Nefesh for the 3 cardinal
But
sins.
if God is giving me manna every day, needless to say that He'll save me if I do
If we don't rely on miracles. You don't do something dangerous relying on a miracle. Anyway, that's the fact. That's the story, whether you like it or not, that's the fact. When you learn Book of Yeshua, we'll discuss it. Now's not the time. You're right, the tribe of Levi did Mesiras Nefesh, the tribe of Levi did circumcise. But there are certain circumstances where it is very courageous to be Mesiras Nefesh. Sometimes you are obligated to circumcise, right? Sometimes it's forbidden to be Mesiras Nefesh. And sometimes it's a bit vague. Meaning, if you're a very courageous big tzaddik, you'll do it. And if not, no. The fact is the Jewish people didn't circumcise in the desert, and only the tribe of Levi did. Okay, so when they came so for that reason they didn't bring Korban Pesach. Because when Jews are uncircumcised, they're not allowed to eat Korban Pesach. The only Korban Pesach that the Jewish people brought in the desert was the first year. Because all the people who left Egypt were circumcised. They circumcised before they left Egypt. Yes, but one tribe can't bring Korban Pesach. It means if most of the Jews are not circumcised, then nobody can bring it. In the second year, even though a lot of people were still alive who had left, but a lot of them had children. And if a person has a child who's uncircumcised, the father can't bring Korban Pesach either. So that's the law. Anyway, they didn't bring Korban Pesach. They crossed over the Jordan. There they did a huge mass circumcision, and that's where it got its name Gilgal. Gilgal is related to roll away. It means the apostle says, I rolled away, or the shame of Egypt. I mean, the shame of Egypt was the circumcision, and that's in Gilgal. And the Mishkan was in Gilgal for 14 years. It means when the Jewish people conquered the land, the Mishkan had stayed there. So it became a holy place, right? Because associated with the crossing of the Jordan, the circumcision, the Mishkan being there, and therefore it was a holy place. Anyway, so Shmuel is telling Shaul, you shall go down to Gilgal. V'hine, and behold, anoichi, that's I, yored elecha. Yored is actually the present tense. Right? It doesn't mean that, it means he will. He will come down to you. That means I'm going to meet you there as well, in Gilgal. For what purpose? Leha'alot olot, to sacrifice sacrifices. We've mentioned many times that when the Mishkan was destroyed in Shiloh and it was moved to Nov, for the 54 years that it was in Nov and Givon before the temple was built, it was permitted to bring sacrifices outside the Mishkan. And this was during that period. This whole book of Shmuel happens during the period before, during that 54-year period. Okay? So, you're going to go down there, and I'm going to come down after you to bring up sacrifice. Lizboach, to offer zivchei shlamim, peace offerings. So there's 2 sets of sacrifices. Olah is an animal that gets completely burnt up, It's called a burnt offering. And a shlamim is an offering that is only part of the animals put on the mizbeach, and the rest is eaten by the owner and by the priests. Shivas yomim tochel. 7 days you shall wait. Tochel means to wait. It's not the usual word for wait. I don't know why this word is used. That's what it means. You should wait for 7 days. Ad boi elecha, until I come to you. So this is all going to happen in the future. You're going to go down to Gilgal and you're going to offer sacrifices there, but I want you to wait for 7 days till I come. And then I will do a da. Da means no. So lahodia means to make known. It's called the hifil, right? Not to know yourself, but to cause somebody else to know. Then I will make known to you. That's what the hey at the beginning indicates. It's the hifil. I will make known to you, what you shall do. And your next move, which you'll do in Gilgal. After Gilgal, you'll go down there, and I'll tell you that you should wait for me for a week. Right? Remember that pasuk in your head, because there's a lot's going to happen until the Gilgal story actually transpires in a few chapters ahead.
What, 7 days?
7 days is how long he's got to wait in Gilgal for Shmuel.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So how long?
Sacrifices.
I think beforehand. Because it says, you will go down to Gilgal, and behold, I will come down to bring sacrifices, and you will wait 7 days. Yes, the waiting 7 days is mentioned after the sacrifices, but it's telling him, you go down, and I will come to bring sacrifices, and you will wait 7 days. So that's what Shmuel was telling you. Wait for a week, after that, I'll bring sacrifices, and then I'll tell you what to do. Okay? All right. We know you had problems with this last time as well. Right, I remember. The Hayah, right? But you know the other second half of the story. The Hayah, and it will be. No, sorry. No, the Hayah. The Hayah could mean and it will be. Right?
Yeah.
But it could also mean and it was.
That's Hava.
No. Hayah, no. Hayah means it was. Hayah means it was. The Hayah, so if the Vav is a reversing Vav, so it changes it to the future, it will be. Right? But it doesn't always be a reversing verb. Verb can just mean and. Right? Okay? So if it was a reversing verb, which is and it will be. V'haya im shamaya tishmu el mitzvah. We say it every day in the Shema. What does it mean over there? And it will be. Here it can't mean it will be.
Because there's no line under the verb.
No. Well, why does that make it? You have to have a line to make a reversing verb. No, you made that a new rule. There's no such thing. You don't need a line to make it into reversing verb. No. I think the difference should be, is it should say, but I don't know, we don't have a Tanach here, it should say Vahaya. No, that's a Chumash. You need a Tanach. No?
Yeah. And then,
You got one there?
yeah.
You want the Tanakh?
Yeah.
There's two here. You want both or just
No,
one?
anyone will
Oh,
do.
you just want?
I think, but we'll check it out. When we say Vahaya im Shamaya, right?
Only two.
It says Vahaya or Vahaya. I think it's Vahaya. Vahaya means and it will be. I think this should say Vahaya, and it should change into the past tense, but you can't tell because there's no trop. Let's see what it says over here. See if I guessed right or I'm wrong. I don't read the English. I know what the word means. I have no doubts it means and it was, but I'm not sure how I'm supposed to work it out from the Hebrew, because it can mean and it will be. So let's see if the Hebrew. What chapter are we? Chapter 10. Verse
8, right?
Okay. No.
Chapter.
No. No, it's exactly the same. Look at the previous apostle. Verse 7. V'haya. That means, I'll read the English now. Verse 7 starts off, V'haya, after these signs come upon you. And here it says, as soon as Shaul turned away. So, I don't know. They're both written exactly the same with the same trop, v'haya, and they mean the different. That means in the future, and here it's in the past. Okay, so I don't know why it's different, but it's clearly different. You can see from the context. V'haya, and it was. Kehafnoto. Okay. Lehafnot. So anyone can even work out the root of that. The kaf, obviously at the beginning, is a prefix. The hey is an indication of the hifil.
Not.
Right? The hifil means a causative. The to means his, like beito. Right?
Pinot.
So it's from the word pei nun. Pei nun is A face, right? Like panim. Panim is the plural of face, right? But pei nun means a facet. Means a face, a singular face. The reason why the face is called plural is because it's a double face, because it's the interface between the inside and the outside. It means on your outside you express when you smile, it's because you're happy or you're sad, right? So that's why it's double. But a real singular face is called a pei nun. You like that? What?
Where did you hear that?
I made it up. You like it?
That's
Good.
awesome.
Maybe, I don't know. You have to know a lot of what I say in makeup. Just if you don't like it, just have to accept it.
Yeah, that's good. That's how I'm asking.
Good, okay. All right. So now, when you go to face something, in English you say the same word, or you don't actually mean face. It means when you change direction. It means because your face turns in that direction. So that's why in Hebrew as well, to turn direction you say to face, which is the same word. What it means is when he turned. But in English you say the same thing. You face something because your face goes in that direction. Good? So in Hebrew you use the same word, to face. So, kehafnoto really means
What?
in his facing. Well, in here it means when he turned.
So then what in Hebrew, what word do they use for a non-material object? I'm facing this situation, I'm facing this challenge, or I'm facing this problem.
No, you don't say that. No, I don't think so. Maybe you could. But that's a conceptual facing. Right, this is a physical facing.
That's what I'm asking.
Right, I don't know. Maybe there is. I don't think it's the same word. I don't think you use that word. But maybe you do. So in English we say when he turned. Kehafnoto, or it's actually a noun here. When he turned is a verb. But it's again one of these things in Hebrew you use a lot of nouns, but in English you would say it as a verb. It means in his turning face. In English we say when he turned. When he turned, shichmo, his shoulder. It means Shaul turned his shoulder to move away from Shmuel. That was like the first movement he did to move away. Before he moved his legs, right? He moved his shoulder to turn away. Then what happened? Laleches, to go. Me'im Shmuel, from being with Shmuel. He was on his way. He didn't even walk. He just turned slightly. Vayahafoch lo Elokim lev acher. God changed for him a new heart, a different heart. It means he changed of spirit that he felt overtaken by this godly spirit happened as soon as he turned away. As soon as he turned on the journey, he already had a different heart. Now, it says at the beginning that he would feel like a new man at the end of the story, right? Now, it could be at the end of the story he felt even more new, I don't know. We don't go into the details of that. But he already felt like a new man with a different heart, courageous, because Shaul naturally was a very shy person. We'll see later on how his shyness comes out. He was a big tzaddik. He wasn't charismatic, big, right? No, he was. And now he's suddenly taken over by a godly spirit. He felt like a completely new person. That's what it says. You have to fill in the details. What was new about him? I just like.
Are they negative?
No,
That
doesn't show.
shy, timid person.
It's a reality. It's negative. You would. I don't know what that means. It's good or bad. Depends how you use it. It's not such a good characteristic for being a king. A shy, timid king is not going to be forceful, and kings have to do things. They have to fight. They have to insist on their opinion, right? They have to tell people what to do, otherwise they can't run a country, right? We'll see later on this character of Shaul, how it's going to play in the story. But isn't inherently bad, right? It depends what your job is. If your job is to sit and learn, it's not a problem to be shy. Yeah, it depends. It depends if you want to be a teacher, then being shy is a bit of a problem. If you want to learn from a Rebbe, being a shy problem. But if you want to sit and learn, read books, it's not a big deal. So, anyway, we're not got into those details. All we're saying is that he's changed. Good.
Right.
That's what it says. Let's read it. Vayahafach, and he changed. Lo, for him. Elohim, God changed for him. Lev acher, a different heart. That means God changed his heart to be different. Okay, got that? Vayavo, and they came. What came? Kal ha'otot, all the signs, ha'ela, all these signs, bayamu on that day. So it doesn't go into those details of the story. Everything that Shmuel said would happen, happened. He left, he went to Tzilklak, and he went to there, and he met these 2 people, 3 people, they gave him a loaf of bread. Everything that said happened doesn't have to go into the details, because it says it happened. So, okay, said it happened. Okay. The last thing, it goes into detail, because that's more important. What was the last thing about meeting the group of prophets? Hayavo sham hagiv asa. And they came there to the Giva. Giva means the hill of the God's hill, as we mentioned before. So they came to this hill, and all of a sudden, Chavel Nevi'im Likrosai, there was a group of prophets coming towards him, as had been predicted. Titzlach alav ruach Elokim, and the Spirit of God grabbed hold of him, as was predicted. Vagisnabe b'soicham, and he prophesied amongst them. Don't know why. Slightly different from what was predicted. It's very, very slightly different. Here, just a minute. Before it was told he would prophesy with them. Vagisnabe imam, with them. Here it says b'soicham, amongst them. Slightly different. It's more or less the same thing. You could interpret it differently. B'soicham just means physically amongst them. With them would mean that they were prophesying too. But not necessarily different, it's just clearly a different word. That's one difference. The other difference you'll notice, one says Ruach Hashem, and here it says Ruach Elokim, and that's a major difference. Ruach Hashem is the Spirit of Hashem, Ruach Elokim is the Ruach of Elokim.
What does it mean that they prophesied, Rabbi?
No idea. I don't know. I mean, it could mean lots of different things. It could mean they're talking about future events. Yeah, it could be that. It could be just talking about events that you couldn't know in relationship to God, the way God runs the world, or the way God does things, or I really don't know. I've never met one, so I don't really know. But it's usually understood to mean predicting future events, but all right, so that's what happened. Good. Other than that, it's the same. It doesn't mention they became a new man, right? But that could be because he already happened at the beginning of the story. So there's a slight variation from what Shmuel predicted. I don't know if that disqualifies you from being a prophet if you get your details like that wrong. Obviously it doesn't, because Shmuel was a prophet, right? But it's a bit surprising that a prophet's allowed to be slightly out on some details.
If free will can change stuff, right? Can we change?
Yeah, but then you could never disqualify a prophet. A prophet has to get it right, because otherwise there's no process for disqualifying a prophet. You're right. There is an idea that if a prophet predicts something bad is going to happen, then free will can change it and it won't happen, and not the other way. So if I say the Spirit of Hashem is going to overcome you, and it isn't the Spirit of Elokim, I would have thought that's a downplay in the level of the prophecy, because Hashem is a much greater level of Gilui than Elokim. And therefore, I would have thought that's, I don't know. I mean, I'm just airing my thoughts. I would have thought that disqualifies from being a prophet.
Yeah.
You predicted I'm going to become a billionaire, and I didn't. I became a millionaire. So it's very nice to be a millionaire, but you predict I'll be a billionaire. Would that disqualify a prophet?
Yeah.
No.
No? Okay, so here you have a debate. I think yes.
I prove.
Oh, yeah, proof. Which prophet did you mean?
I prove. In the story of Joseph, when he has the dreams, in one of the dreams, his mother, father, and brother.
I already answered you. The answer's straightforward. He wasn't a prophet. Who told you Joseph was a prophet? It was a dream.
Okay, just
No, I can't say. He actually says that dreams have always got a bit of nonsense in them. That's a dream. And therefore, when he said exactly your point, right? He says that he said, "If my father and mother are going to come and bow down to me," yeah, his father and mother. Your mother's dead, right? Okay, so that's clearly nonsense, right? Yaakov was trying to make fun of the dream in order that the brothers shouldn't dislike him, but Yaakov actually knew the truth was that the dream is meant to have some nonsense in it. So he understand, but that doesn't mean prophecy. Prophecy is allowed to have mistakes in it, inaccuracies. Okay, I mean it's a big chiddush, I hear. As long as it's more or less right, it doesn't have to be accurate. Okay, so you have to go to this. I just wanted to point it out. The slight variations.
Yeah.
If the variations are bigger, I have no problem. I predict you'll be a millionaire, you'll be a billionaire, right? So if you assume that being rich is a bracha, so then that's just more. That's not a problem with the prophecy. But if it's limited, I would have thought that's a problem. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I'm quite happy. No, it could be. Anyway, that's the. I just want to point out the slight variations. No, getting the Spirit of God earlier on That doesn't bother me, because that's on the contrary. You didn't even have to wait till the end of the day to be different. But the prophecy is slightly different.
We don't disqualify people for missing a detail, Rabbi.
You said, fine. Okay, I hear.
Rabbi Akiva.
I'm talking about a prophet, I'm not talking about people. We don't disqualify people for getting it completely wrong. We don't disqualify people for anything, right? But a prophet has to be able to be proven right. And if he gets it, I would have thought, I hear what you're saying, I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just saying it could be. You're very adamant, you know for sure. We don't qualify for it, fine, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm just saying, I feel it's like, needs to be discussed. I don't think it's like so cut and dry like you think it is.
What did he get wrong?
He said the spirit of Hashem will rest upon you, and the verse says the spirit of Elohim will rest on you. Now, there's not the same concept. Those are two different words for God. Right?
Okay.
And they mean different things. One means the attribute of mercy, one's the attribute of justice, right?
And
So
and
it's slightly
The
different.
judgment of God doesn't
the
exist.
amongst and with as well.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if that's better or worse. It could be it's greater to be amongst than with, because amongst means they're standing around. You're the only one prophesying. It could be it's better, just even bigger. That doesn't disqualify me. But I would have thought the ruach of Elohim is not as unique.
But
as the ruach of
then,
Elohim.
then how can an aspect of Shem be greater or lesser? Like,
That's a philosophical problem, but you agree with it, don't you?
Yeah.
You agree with the question. You
Yeah.
just don't know why that should be. I would have thought the attribute of mercy is a greater expression of God than you give after.
If I can add spirituality into this, Rabbi.
me.
Obviously, maybe there was a kitrug in Shemayim. Why want to make sure the king we oppose this, the accusing angel.
Very good.
So there was a lot of judgment, and maybe they found fault in Saul. No, he's too shy. You can't make him king.
Absolutely.
So based on that, there was the spirit of God, but with a lot of dinim, because
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree with you. I was never questioning why did it say Ruach Elohim. I agree with that all along. My question is that Shmuel predicted it would be different. That's to disqualify him. Because Shmuel got it wrong. Shmuel thought there would be none of your midas hadin and everything would go smooth and nice. It turns out there's a kitrug. That means Shmuel's wrong. That's what I'm saying. I agree with your assessment of the meaning. But isn't that a discrepancy on Shmuel's part? Okay, it's a detail. Fine. I don't have a question. I'm just making a point of discussion, and you do what you want with it. Told you I make a lot of it up. So now I didn't even make it up. I just threw it out, and you're discussing it yourselves. All right. That's the story. Now listen to what happened. Vayehi, and it was. Kol Yod-A, Yod-O, not Yod-O. Yod-O means those who knew him. Yodea is to know. Yod-O means Yodea Oto. Those who knew him. It means all Shaul's friends and acquaintances. All guys who knew Shaul. Mitmol Shilshom from
high school, say
yeah, that's not what it means. Yeah, that's what it means. Well, not that's what the words mean.
Here and there.
No. Yes, but exactly what does it mean? What's etmol? Etmol is yesterday. Shilshom is the day before. Now, Shilshom is clear from the word shalosh. Why is the day before called 3? It's really 2. Right? Because today is day 1. Day 1 is today, yesterday is day 2, and the day before is day 3. So if I knew you from yes, this is an expression all over Tanach. Tomol is like etmol. Tomol Shilshom is yesterday and the day before. So all those who knew him from the past, by Yiru, and they saw, Vihine, behold, Im Neviim Niba, he was prophesying with the prophets. Here he says, Im, with the prophets. Yomer Ha'am, and the people said, Ishal Reyehu, one man to his. Reyehu?
See.
No, with an ayin. Who?
Spirit.
Where?
Spirit, that's Ruach. Reyehu, you all know it's the most famous
Big.
pasuk in the whole of Tanach.
Right. Or
No. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamoicha, right?
To love your neighbor.
Well, yes, that's not what it means. Somebody else today translates like that. Not what it means.
To love your friend. You said
Very
to love your
good.
friend.
It means to love your friend. Neighbor. I believe the love your neighbor as yourself is a pasuk from the New Testament. I've never read it, but I believe that's true. Right? And that's where the whole world gets this word from. It's not what it says in the Chumash. It says V'ahavta l'reacha. The word for neighbor is shachen. Okay, Rea means a friend. Now there's other words for friend, right? Chaver, right? So it's a very specific nuanced meaning, but it doesn't mean a neighbor, for sure. Reacha means a...
Why does the Chumash tell him to love our friend? Of course I love our friend.
A good question. Okay. Yeah, it's a good question, but now it's not the place to discuss it. Right? Good question. That's why I said it's very nuanced. It's a nuanced type of friend. It's not a chaver. Chaver is someone you love in any case, right? But there's no real word in Hebrew, in English, for the real meaning of the word reya, right? Okay? But it definitely doesn't mean a regular friend, because like you say, I love my friends already, that's why they're my friends. Okay? It's a good observation, okay? Some other time we'll discuss it. Okay? So reya, so each man turned to his comrade and said, Mazeh, what's this? Haya has become Leben Kish, to the son of Kish. What's happened? He's suddenly become a prophet? Whoa. Hagam Shaul Nevi'im. Is Shaul also amongst the prophets? So people who knew Shaul from his past, they knew him, as a lad, good at football, whatever. I don't know. You want to add to the story, right? They never imagined Shaul would go. It wasn't him. That wasn't what he was into. He was learning Gemara or playing football or different things. Nevi'im wasn't his thing. Come Shaul Nevi'im. It's an expression, and we're so surprised that Shaul would become a prophet. The people who knew him.
Do we know anything about his past?
No.
relatives? No.
These people did, right? And they were surprised that Shaul had become a Navi. Okay? Let's finish the story. Vayan Ish Misham, and a man from there, sounds like one of the locals, answered their comment. And he said, Umi Avihem, and who is their father? Meaning, why are you surprised? Look at all the other people. You think prophets are the sons of other prophets? No. All the other guys who are prophets also just learnt it, so it's not such a big surprise. Just a minute. It shouldn't be so surprised that Shaul became a prophet. You don't have to be the son of a prophet to be a prophet. Yes.
But isn't it just new until Shmuel just became a Navi, then everyone started becoming Navi? Why do they all automatically think, oh, he must be son of a Navi? If these people didn't have fathers that were Navi, and all these new Navi?
You're just repeating what he's saying. He's saying that. So the other people who didn't know Shaul, right, and they saw these people, they were like surprised. Like, don't you have to be in this, be in the family? It has to be a family thing to become a prophet. So it could be that those people weren't locals, right? That's why it says someone from there who knew prophecy school. He knew all the guys around him because he was from this place where they train prophets, right? So he knew the background of the other people too. It says, not surprised that Shaul's a prophet. Well, who's their father, right? And that's a very Jewish concept. You don't have to be yichus, right? Right? That's what this yeshiva is all about, right? Only guys whose father was a rabbi, his grandfather was a rabbi, great grandfather, those are Talmidei Chacham. No. Anyone can be a Talmidei Chacham. That's the message. What's being given here. You don't have to be yichus. Okay? Yichus can help, right? Yichus can help to start with a check, right? Yichus is like a zero, right? It means nothing. When you put one at the end of it, then it's meaningful. Your yichus, but without that's. You have to put your efforts in. You put your efforts in, you'll be successful. So that's what Shaul, and that was the other people. Now, Al Cain, because of this story, it became a parable, meaning it became an expression that people say in Hebrew. Hagam Shaul Nevi'im. Now, you've never heard this because you've never mixed in circles of people who speak in Tanach language. Right? But people who know how to speak Hebrew properly will use this expression when they see something strange, something never expected. It doesn't have to be seeing prophecy. When you see a person who's become a Rosh Hashiva, or a person who's become the executive of a company, right? And he in school he was just a layabout, right? Whoa, come Shaul Nevi'im. Even though his name's not Shaul, but that's an expression in Hebrew when you see somebody come to a position. Is there a way to say it in English? No, the translation is also Shaul amongst the prophets. So because of this story, that became an expression in Hebrew. Well, I say people who are, most Israelis don't use this same because they don't know anything about Tanakh, right? But those who speak a bit more biblical, I don't mean they speak on a day-to-day biblical Hebrew, but they're more in tune with that thing, might use this expression. It's an expression in Hebrew, Hagam Shaul Nevi'im. Okay, at least it was in those days. Vayechal mehisnabot. Vayechal means he finished. Like, and God finished the work in the 6 days. Vayechulu hashmayim v'aretz, right before Kiddush. Vayechulu hashmayim v'aretz, vayechulu means to finish. Vayechal, and he finished. Mehisnabot, from prophesying. Right, whatever, he stopped. when the spirit of prophecy ended, Yavai Habama, he came to the platform where they were sacrificing. Good? You got a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your question?
What doesn't make sense to me, Rabbi, what I'm thinking in my head is, Shaul's life doesn't make sense to me because it's as if saying someone like Dylan.
Shaul what?
Shaul.
What about?
What doesn't make sense to me, like it's saying someone like Dylan or Shane, they're shy and timid. They're big, they're strong. Naturally, that comes with the confidence of.
Okay. Not always. You think everyone who's 6'4" is got confidence? No.
Because, but if you're short and you're not tall and
Okay,
you're skinny,
so
then it's like
I hear your comment, but it's not true. I mean, yeah, sometimes it may become easier, but not necessarily true. Okay. Anyway, he probably wasn't timid in a sense that he was just born like that. He worked on himself. It was an honor, like Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was the greatest human being in history, and he was the most humble person in history too, right? So if you're a Baal Musa and you work on Madrigas, you can be shy and humble without that. Okay, all right, whatever. Yeah, maybe he wasn't timid. Maybe he was just humble. Okay. Anyway, we don't know anything about him yet. Right, so let's discuss it when we get there. Shaul's uncle just happened to be there, it would seem. Shaul's uncle was also at this sacrifice at the Bama, and he said to him, "Ve'el na'aro," and to his lad, "On halachtem." On means where. On,
Okay.
Aleph, Nun.
Yeah, his name's David.
No, it doesn't say David. Dod. Dod is an uncle. Ani ledodi, ledodi li. I am to my uncle or my beloved, and my beloved is to me. Dod really means friend, beloved, uncle. Okay. I presume that David's name is somehow related to that. But then in David, the vav is a vav, as opposed to Dod, where the vav is just a vowel. You don't hear the vav in the word Dod, right? It's just Daled vav. Daled, the vav is a vowel sound. Whereas in David's name, you actually hear the vav. It's a vav. So
maybe his name means this and that.
This and that.
Yeah. That.
That's in Aramaic.
And this and that.
Yeah, but I think that's only in Aramaic. In Aramaic, da means this. In Hebrew, you say zeh. So, yes, it could be. But I think it's probably related to, a dud. You know what a dud is? A dud is a big pot where you do shemesh, where you heat the water on the roof. Yeah, but David's name is not Dud, his name is David. Okay? So it's probably not related to anything. I am a Dod trouble. Here's Dod, it means the uncle. Shaul's uncle said to him and to his lad, to Shaul's lad, because he was together, On halachtem, where have you gone to? Where did you go? And he said, Levakesh es ha'asoinos, to seek out the female donkeys that were lost. His father, at the beginning of the story, you weren't here. At the beginning of the story, his father lost donkeys, and that's where Shaul went to find them. They didn't find them, but they already got a message from Shmuel that they've been found, and that's why he's on his way home. Vanire ki ayin, we saw. Vanire, and we saw. We saw ki ayin, that they are ayin with an aleph, not with an ayin. Ayin with an aleph means. What did you say? Bound. Found, no.
Ayin.
There isn't. Very good. Like yesh me'ayin. Yesh me'ayin.
Isn't that ayin?
No, it's ayin. Aleph. Ayin means there is not. Ayin means nothing. It's a related word, right? Naught. Yesh me'ayin. We talk about God created the world. Ex nihilo means yesh. What does that mean? From nothing. From nothing. Okay, so ayin means nothing. So, Banire ki ayin, when we saw there was nothing, means we couldn't find the donkeys. Banavai el Shmuel, we came to Shmuel, and Shmuel told us that the donkeys have been found. Yomer dad Shaul, so the uncle of Shaul said, Hagida na li, please tell me, ma amalachem Shmuel, what did Shmuel say to us? Very interested to know, right? Shmuel was the greatest man around. If you spoke to Shmuel, what did he say to you? And don't forget, everybody knows that Shmuel has a job to find the next king. Because Shmuel could have a big gathering, and all the people said, we want a king, and Shmuel spoke to God, and Shmuel said, okay, I'll look for a king. So that's like the next agenda that Shmuel, that's thinking Shmuel has an agenda to find a king, so maybe Shaul's uncle is suspicious. Maybe, I don't know, right? Anyway, let's see, what did Shmuel have to say? Vayomer Shaul el Dodo, and he said to his uncle, right? Dodo. Dead as a dodo, right?
That's dodo.
You ever heard that expression?
No, Dodo.
I've heard dead as a doorknob, but never
No, no.
dead as a doorknob.
I've heard Dode is uncle, not Dode.
Please. Look in Google what dead as a dodo means.
Dead as a
Yeah.
No, it's a species of bird.
No, I
It's
know
from
what it
Madagascar.
means. I know what
No?
it means.
No,
I
it
know
was-
what
Ah, so you know what it means. So you know what dead as a dodo? You know what dead as a dodo means?
I can understand.
You've never heard it? Okay, fine.
Never heard the expression.
But you know, they're only recently extinct. They only went extinct like a couple hundred years ago.
Yeah, I realize.
It's crazy.
Okay, in Madagascar.
So it's like, I mean, there's a lot of other animals we've chosen that's a lot
Dead
more
as a dodo means not to be important
there
or
are so many
popular
species of
anymore.
Okay, see, this is an expression. Just like Hagam Shaul HaNavi doesn't mean anything about Shaul anymore. It's an expression, same thing. Dead as a dodo means extinct. Okay, so no, but the dodo means his uncle in Hebrew.
Yeah.
Dodo, his uncle. So Shaul said to his uncle, Haged higid lanu. He surely told us. That's just a double expression. And this is all Shaul said. This is what he said. Ki nimtza'u ha'asaynos, that the donkeys have been found. That's all he said. He didn't tell him all the rest. Because he was humble. He didn't want to tell, he told me I'm the next king. No, he didn't tell him about that. The Lord, ve'es devar ha'melucha, and the subject matter of the kingship, the better word for it. No.
Kingdom.
Or
No.
matter.
No, the matter of the royalty. Yes, I can't think of the right word. Yeah, lo higid. He didn't tell him. Lo higid. He didn't tell his uncle. Even his uncle, his closest relative, who was there. No, he didn't tell him anything. Asher amar Shmuel, that Shmuel had said. He didn't let on. Why do you have to know? Shmuel didn't tell me to tell. Didn't tell me not to tell. I have to go around telling and bragging that I'm the king. No, doesn't have to know. Okay, he's not the king yet. He doesn't have to go around and telling him. But Shmuel has told him that you're going to change and that you're going to be a very special person, and that's your next job. Okay, let's continue the next section. Vayatz ek Shmuel es ha'am, and Shmuel. Now, so'ek means to cry out. So something that means to cry out in help, right? Here it doesn't mean to cry out in that sense. It means to pass around a call for everyone to come to somewhere. You talk about the town crier. Hear ye,
Call out.
right? So you say the word cry, but you don't mean to cry with tears, right? You don't mean to cry out in prayer, you mean to make an announcement. So when you make an announcement for everyone to hear, and then everyone comes to wherever you call them to come, that's called vayatz ek. Okay? In English they translate it as to muster. Not mustard, to muster, like when you muster an army, but it's not an army, here it's to come to a gathering. It's actually to the coronation. That's what they want to do. They want to officially make Shaul into the king. Vayatzek Shmuel es ha'am, so Shmuel mustered the people, El Hashem, to God, HaMitzpah, to the mitzvah. What's Hashem got to do with it? So, as we've said in the past, it doesn't mean they brought the ark there, right? What it just means this was a public spiritual gathering, and they said Tehillim at the beginning, or whatever. They felt God's presence there, and
Mitzvah.
Mitzpah is the hill near where Shmuel lives, where Shmuel brought the sacrifice in the past.
Yeah.
Vayomer el bnei Yisrael, he said to the children of Israel. Now, you have a very, very interesting feature, if this print is correct, I don't know, but probably it is, that there is a pay in the middle of a pasuk. You see that?
Yeah.
You has it in yours?
Yeah.
Now, we know that pay means a major break, and it really is the equivalent of a new chapter. This is a new story. Now, it would almost seem an oxymoron to have a pay in the middle of a pasuk. You know what an oxymoron means?
Yeah.
It's a contradiction in terms. How can you have a new chapter in the middle of a sentence? The whole concept of a sentence means one idea. You can't have a new chapter in the middle of an idea. It's not a new chapter, it's not one idea, it's two ideas. Something's wrong here. But this is a feature you find very seldom. Again, more common in Tanach than it is in the Chumash. You find, I can remember one or two places in the Chumash where you have this. And it's probably meant to convey the idea that you're supposed to take a big break. It's actually a continuation of the story. And in conceptually, it's one sentence, but there was a big break. Like Shmuel takes a deep breath before he continues. He doesn't go straight into it. There's a lot to think about before you actually continue with the sentence. Okay?
Well, he hasn't
But
finished
then-
the sentence.
Yeah, but it could be he would take a lot of deep breath before he wants to start. You know, maybe he has trepidation, he's hesitant to do what he's about to do, and it takes a lot of courage to do it, and therefore he's taking a pause But in the story, it isn't really a pause because what happened straight after the other. There's nothing happened in between. That's what I think is what you're supposed to get out of this sort of break in the middle of a pasuk. So then you have to wonder why. What is Shmuel so hesitant? If my pshat is right, explanation is right. What is Shmuel so hesitant to do? What is he doing that needs so much courage? Let's see. Kama Hashem Elokei Yisrael. So says Hashem, the God of Israel. Anochi he'elesi es Yisrael mimitzrayim. I brought up the Jewish people from Egypt. He'elesi, from the word oleh. The hey is the cause. So I brought the Jewish people up from Egypt. Va'atzil eschem. And I saved you miyad Mitzrayim, from the Egyptians. Now you isn't literally referring to the people who were listening to Shmuel's drasha, because none of them were saved from Egypt. It means the Jewish people. Right? So I brought up the Jewish people and I saved you, meaning the Jewish people, from the Egyptians. Umiyad, and from the hand, kol hamamlachot, all the kingdoms, halochatzim eschem, who are oppressing you. And that's literally you. So as one long continuation, I've saved the Jews, your ancestors, I brought them out of Egypt, and all the whole journey, all the way through, till to this day, whenever you were oppressed, I saved you. From the Canaanites, the Moabites, the Philistines, the Amalekites, every story God said, I saved you in the past.
What's the Musa behind that?
Not the end yet, not the end of the sentence. Ve'atem, and you, hayom, this day, today, me'astem, you have rejected. Me'astem, you have a better word than rejected. You have despised. Es Elokeichem, your God. Asher hu Moshia lachem, he saves you. Okay, so let's just briefly understand Shmuel's criticism of why he objected to their want for a king. And he says he's speaking this in the name of God. It wasn't just giving them Musa, right? This is what God says. This is God's message to you. That although he's agreed to give you a king, you should know he's not happy with what you want. Because up to that it's been fine. Whenever you into a problem, you had a leader who would take you out to battle and you'd win. Whether it was Devorah, or whether it was Ehud, or whether it was Yiftach, or Shimshon. And now you want a king. So we've said the negative aspect of a king means you don't want to be totally reliant on your relationship with God. It means in order to have a shofet who would save them in the past, they needed to be deserving of God's miraculous activities. And they didn't want to be, we have to be on the level to deserve miracles. We just rather have a life which is more natural, like the rest of the world. You know, not the rest of us only. If you're good, you get a miracle. If you're not good, no, it's not like that. If you have, look, there's certain limit. If you have a good army, you'll win. If you're a bad army, look, now obviously God interferes, and the good armies don't always win, and the bad armies don't always win. But more or less, that's how it is. That's why most of the time America wins, and little, I don't know, Guatemala fails. Why? Because they just got big army. Oh, I can spoke him to do miracles. He can, but he doesn't interfere so much. And that's the sort of lifestyle they wanted. Not every time, oh, we didn't get up for davening today. Oh, so now we're going to lose the war. We didn't do this. No, they wanted to be more, laid back. But up to now, it hadn't been like that. God had been very much on the pulse. When you're good, things go good. When you're bad, then it goes bad. Then it was too much pressure. So that's why God is upset. What do you mean? You don't want a lifestyle where you can be great. You want to be mediocre. Well, I'm not so fussy with you. Look, if that's what you want, that's what you'll get. But in a way, you've rejected the lifestyle of greatness which God wants from the Jewish people. And that great lifestyle has consequences. That if you don't up to the lifestyle, then you get bashed. You get the message very quickly. You don't want that, okay? So that's what you'll get. But that's the criticism. Now, why Shmuel waited to give this? So it could be he was just waiting for the prophecy. He was standing there and waiting. No, God can't tell me what you want me to say, right? And then that's hard to believe that was a problem. I would rather think he doesn't want to be critical of the Jewish people. He doesn't want to give them this stuff, right? And what he's about to do. Okay? So that's why he was hesitant. Eventually he took the courage and he said it, but it wasn't something that was pleasant. Never pleasant to criticize people, especially people you love and people you've led for many, many years. And now he's got to give them overhead, right? So that's why maybe he took his time before he actually got down to saying it. All right, we'll come back to this pasuk next time, please, God.